It is our honor and our pleasure to welcome to the show Senator Steve Daines and U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, as well as Senator Pat Roberts from Kansas, who is the chairman of the Senate Ag Committee. So thank you all so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Julianne. Good to be here.
Our pleasure.
Glad to have you. And folks, how's Montana treating you so far?
Well, the hospitality's been great. I think being from Georgia, I thought we were hospitable, but these Montanans have been over the top.
We are too. Yep. Well, you are obviously in town for the Montana Ag Summit today, and before we talk all about that, because you have a lot of fantastic events, a lot of fantastic information to be had today at that summit, I want to talk a little bit about a viewer question that we have. They want to know how you intend to deal with budget cuts to the Department of Agriculture and specifically the farm safety net, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that.
Well, obviously farm safety nets are important, as well as consumer safety nets with our nutrition program, but the budget is out, and I applaud the president for trying to balance the budget. First of all, I think that's admirable. No one likes cuts, but farmers are as good as anyone for making do. They've made do all their life with good crops, good prices, bad prices, droughts and floods, and good weather. So they know a lot about ups and downs and the cycles of budgeting. So the good news is these two guys on my left and right here are going to have a lot to say with the budget, and Chairman Roberts here of the Ag Committee knows a lot about crop insurance. He was a huge proponent and kind of the father of crop insurance. It's a great safety net, as you said, because it allows the producers to contribute to, it is an insurance program rather than a direct subsidy, a direct payment. It's an insurance program that in which they buy insurance. The government obviously helps to participate in that, but it's a great program, and we hope it can be sustained.
Absolutely. And Senator Roberts, excuse me, what is your take on that?
Ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen.
We're not gonna cut crop insurance. We can make efficiencies. As the Secretary said, farmers are very good at doing that. In Kansas, we've had a freeze, and then we had a prairie fire, and then we had another freeze. My goodness, we lost 40% of the crop. That is a picture-perfect example of why we need crop insurance. That can happen to any state. It's a proven program, so I think we can work around it, and I think we can make our budget figures if and when the Congress passes a budget. The President proposes, the Congress disposes, and so we will pay attention to that budget from the standpoint of trying to get $20 trillion under control. That's 20 and 13 zeros. You can hardly imagine it. And farmers and ranchers and everybody up and down Main Street, we know we have to make some efficiencies to get our country turned around in terms of spending. If these interest rates go up, gracious, all we'll do is just service the debt, and so we can't do that. And so we'll be working on it, but I think crop insurance will be just fine. Thank you.
Sure. And Senator Daines, I know y'all plan to talk much more about that today at the Ag Summit. What was your vision for this summit, and what will you be talking about today?
Well, we can never forget, in our great state of Montana, our #1 industry is agriculture.
That's right.
It's over $5 billion a year for our state. I couldn't be more pleased to have two of the top leaders in our nation in Montana today sitting next to me.
Yeah.
We have the Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, and Chairman Pat Roberts, U.S. Senate Ag Committee. So we've got the best leaders in our nation here in Montana. They'll be listening to the 700 plus folks who'll be here today in Great Falls. We've got farmers and ranchers from all over the state. Our top ag leaders in Montana are here today. It'll be very informative, but it's really focusing about the future. 95% of the world's consumers live outside the United States. And so as we think about the next generation of farmers and ranchers in Montana, it's about how we expand those opportunities for our Montana farmers and ranchers. We got two of the top guys here in Montana with us today to hear about that and to explain the vision here for our country.
Absolutely. Such an honor to have you both here with us today. And of course you as well, Senator Daines. And now, so for folks who still want to attend the summit but maybe haven't registered, how can they do that? Well,
we've got a website. It's agsummitmontana.com. You can go to that and register and just come to the Great Falls Expo today. Okay. We've still got room. I mean, we're just about out of room, but there's still a few more seats left, and we'd love to have all Montanans. It's open to everybody can come and be a part of this today.
What time does that start this morning?
We're starting at 8 o'clock this morning.
All
right.
We'll
go from 8 to 5 today.
8 to 5. Full day filled with nothing but the best in ag news. And so I want to open this up to you folks as well again, Secretary Perdue and Senator Roberts. I know you mentioned that being here in Montana and the communities have had an impact on you thus far. What's your takeaway?
We've already had a great listing session yesterday afternoon at a working cattle ranch here south of town, and I'm here to listen and learn. You can learn some things on the ground in Montana you can't get in Washington, D.C., and that's why we get out here, to hear from real producers. The USDA wants to be a partner, a minority partner, because these producers are good at what they do. We want to help, not hinder, their productive capacity, and how we learn what things are working and what things are not, and how we can be more helpful is why we're here.
Absolutely. Senator Roberts?
Well, I would agree, and I want to thank Steve. He was a very valuable member of the Ag Committee, more especially with his expertise in trade, more especially with China, and he's the man as far as I'm concerned. But Steve helped organize virtually every farm group in Montana to come and sit around a table out there on the prairie, and it was absolutely beautiful. And but the stories we heard, as the Secretary indicated, are not the normal stories that you maybe pick up in Washington. You have to sit on the wagon tongue with farmers and listen to them. That's exactly what we did. We've done it in Kansas. We had about 600 there. We had about 250 up in Michigan with all the specialty crop growers. But anytime you get a chance to come to Big Sky Country, you ought to come and just enjoy it anyway, because of the people. They're just wonderful folks. But we learned a lot of valuable lessons, and we just have to sit on the wagon tongue with farmers and listen to them, see what works, see what doesn't, and we go from there, and working with probably the man that I think is one of the best possible secretaries we've had. He told me he doesn't sit on his hands very much. He's been in 10 different states, and he hadn't been in office very long time, sitting and listening to farmers. So I'm so happy to have Sonny here.
Yeah, I'd say one thing I'm just so pleased with Secretary Perdue's leadership is how he is bringing this vision for agriculture across the entire administration. As you're bringing our Secretary of State and others engaged now with rural America. So Secretary Perdue, thank you.
I think one of the best things that Senator Daines is talking about is an interagency task force that we're putting together for rural prosperity, because farmers know that other agencies, EPA and the Corps of Engineers and Fish and Wildlife and Interior and Energy, affect their lives as well. So we're looking at the President sign an executive order for rural prosperity, and we want to work in a holistic fashion for the people of America. But I want to say one other thing about Senator Daines. We talk about beef into China and trading, and that's a big deal. Yeah. This is the guy that got it there first, Montana beef into China, and they tasted that. They wanted more of it, so we're going to give them more, Senator.
It's a lot better than Australian beef, I'll tell you that.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, well, it truly is such an honor to have you all here this morning. I want to thank you for your time. And folks, to hear more from Senator Daines, Secretary Perdue, and Senator Roberts, you can attend the summit this morning at the Montana Expo Park. But for now, we will be right back on Montana This Morning.